come back to the commission meeting after the study sessions are done. Just for those of you who haven't been in this meeting before, all of the items that we just gone through have been discussed in the study session, and so that's why there's not a whole lot of discussion on today, because we discussed it usually the week prior in order to do that. So with that, we have an agenda for study sessions, and the first one is I'd like to call the fire department.
It's that time of year again where we're renewing the memorandum of understanding with the Office of the State Fire Marshal for the 2021 calendar year. Nothing has changed with this MOU. I ran it through the city attorney. He doesn't have any issues with it. So I'd like to bring that forward next week.
Okay,
Yeah,
bring forward.
next week. Okay, code enforcement. Nope.
Morning, Milt.
So I'm bringing to you today just the discussion of accepting a promissory note for an abatement of a dead tree that is overlooking a couple houses on South or North Chestnut. I have spoke with the residents. They have agreed they could pay up to $250 a month for abatement of this tree back to the city. They're not able to pay all of it at once. So that's why we're going towards a promissory note. I've talked to several tree service people in the town. I have two come back, said that they didn't want to test the tree because it's so brittle. I have talked to Steve with Affordable Tree Service out of Inman. He has agreed to remove the tree for $4,500. And I'm just asking for the acceptance to continue the process through the city attorney to write up a promissory note.
Okay, I think what I'd like to do on this one is that when we come back into session, we will come back to here,
Okay.
okay?
Yes, sir.
I will say that, this is the longest promissory note we've done
Yes, sir.
in the time that we've been here. And there is a lot of staff, there's a lot of follow-up that goes along with this. I discussed this with Milton. And we need to be very clear that, if we start falling behind, we will, and it's typically written into the promissory note that we will go ahead and put it on the taxes if we fall behind, because it is very intensive. If staff time, sending out invoices, following up, things of that nature. So,
Yes, sir.
Just for the record, is there, somebody pull that up and show the picture of the tree that we're talking about here? There.
And to the right of that tree, a limb has already fallen in the backyard of that house to the right, the owner's house.
Yeah.
And a couple limbs have fallen on the house to the left side. So
Milton, did you say you did get bids on that, or they got bids on it?
I did. I got one bid back from Affordable Tree Service. I talked to Mr. Walton here in town. He said he didn't want to touch it. At first, he initially had a bid out for it. Then he revoked that bid because it's a liability that he didn't want to take. And then I also spoke with Darren out of, is it Darren Tree Service out of Hutchinson? He said the same thing. It's a liability he didn't want to take. So
is that high for a bid on that
yes,
tree
that
like
is. I mean, from what I had from at first from Walton's, this is probably $1,500 more.
Okay.
All right, it'll come back up
Thank you.
after the study session. Okay, planning and zoning.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
So I'm pleased to share that we have a final draft of our revised subdivision regulations. It's kind of been a long process trying to get this done. It's been reviewed by Bickley. For those who don't know, he's our planning consultant with the city to assist with zoning and subdivision matters. It's received review by city attorney, and at this point it's been triple checked to make sure all requests and required revisions have been made. It's in the appropriate format at this point. It just needs to be adopted.
Okay.
Okay, if you can bring it next week,
Bring it next
and
week.
ask the commission if they can spend a little bit more time on this between now and next week.
Okay, yeah, and if you have any questions, I'm available.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Public Works.
First item I have is out of the street department. Boats Crushing moved in and crushed the concrete rubble at the debris site. We allowed them to keep all the crushed concrete as we had sufficient stockpile. However, we had some millings that needed to be processed for our use. Boats Crushing processed 2,961 tons of millings at $2.50 a ton. Total cost $7,402.
Good. Bring it next week.
Next item, again out of the street department's fully tractor. It's a 1,000-hour service for the loader. As per our service contract with fully tractor, the 1,000-hour service on the cat loader is due. Fully equipment comes to McPherson and services our loader every 1,000 hours of operation. Our agreement is for $1,270.55 per service. This is the second service interval in 2020.
Okay. Bring it.
With the completion of the South Chestnut Street and Drainage Improvement Project, we're requesting to make Chestnut the through street by installing stop signs either side of Chestnut at Avenue D, E, and F.
Okay.
Will that be a change from what it is currently, or is it, are they
Yes.
just not signed?
It wasn't signed previous to that.
Okay.
Out of the wastewater treatment facility, we had a second cutting, so we had Dennis Friesen has submitted his 2020 second cutting farming operations bill. Total amount equals $5,968.76. This work consists of loading charges of $1,890, harvesting charges of $3628.76, and mowing charges of $450.
Okay.
Next, on the Hall Street project, and this is the street, not the drainage. Design cost change order 1. On May 29, 2018, the commission approved the design for the whole street, Main to North High Drive, with Alfred Benish and Company, in the amount of $199,405. The Hull Street project has been put on hold indefinitely. The design engineer brought the plans to a stopping point and have delivered those plans to the city. This change order reduces the design contract to cover design costs to date. Charges to date are $117,765.65, which is a reduction of $81,639.35.
Okay. Bring next week.
Next item is on the Hulse area drainage project. Design cost, change order number 4, again with Alfred Benish. The Hulse area drainage project was approved on 5/15/2017 for $254,146. Change order number 1 added $15,000. Change order number 2 added $6,000. Change order number 3 added $17,000. Now with the construction complete, the total cost of construction, this is design, $290,402.40, was a reduction of $1,743.60 reflected in change order number 4.
Okay.
That's just to final out the design portion.
So that project is complete with this exception?
We have,
Design.
I mean, as far as the
yeah,
design.
the design is,
Right.
we have touch up on the handrails,
Right.
is the only thing
Okay.
left. Next, Grimes Anna Street Reconstruction Project, change order number 5 with Votes Parga. This change order represents final quantities for storm drainage items. The 18-inch RCP connection at station 5796 was shown on the plans but left out of the quantities. At Grimes Street, at the Grimes Street box, the pipe had to be extended and the end section had to be reset to tie into the new Hulse area drainage ditch. These items increase the contract $2,975.92.
Okay.
Again, on the Grimes Anna Street Reconstruction Project, change order number 6 with Votes Parga. This item was for seal course, was decreased 90 cubic yards from what was estimated on change order number 1. The final amount of 2,096 cubic yards was the amount needed to backfill the new sanitary sewer drainage, or trenches.
Okay.
Change order number 7 on the Grimes Anna Street reconstruction project, again with Votes Parga. This change order adjusts the final quantities for grading, temporary surfacing items, and erosion control items. Total of these items increase the contract $4,261.81. That's a net increase.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Okay, I have a question for Janetta. To be up to date for the fall retreat, do we need, when we come back out of recess, to look at each of these today, or it doesn't matter?
It won't matter,
Okay, all right,
because what I report is through October, and this is November,
okay,
so.
all right, we'll just do them next week.
Okay.
All right,
Good question, thanks.
all right, call on Nick Gregory, administrative report.
We finally received the final notification of rate changes from McPherson Area Solid Waste Utility for 2021, and there's a copy of that in your file of what we had, but it's basically, you're looking at a 3.5% increase in rates for McPherson citizens in 2021. There's attached is a spreadsheet that I would encourage you guys to all open that shows you exactly what makes that up. Each year we consider doing a very slight increase to also assist in helping us cover costs associated with any potential mitigation we'll have at our closed landfill, which is the one that's on South Centennial. And each year we consider doing a slight increase there, 5, 10, 15, and 20 cents. You can actually see how that does potentially impact any of the rates where we sit. You see that the increase for McPherson Area Solid Waste Utility was basically equates to about a 35% increase is what theirs does. And the question is, are you guys interested in changing those mitigation funds to do a 5, 10, or 15, or 20 cent increase to make sure we can cover ourselves if we ever have a major cleanup associated with the closed landfill, which will be our responsibility in full. So any discussion on that? Is there any thought process on that? I think we've done the last couple of years is we've gone with the very minimal, like 5 cents is what we've done. The reality of it is, if we ever have to go in and do a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental out there, it will be millions of dollars, and that's the reality of that. Though we do testing on a yearly basis, I think they're going to move that testing to every, not every year now, but if they will continue to do testing out there, and if they do find something, it will require us to go in and do some cleanup there at some point.
Yeah, and the history is, that's why we've changed the land use there, so that it was once residential. It's not a good area to have residential, so we have other things going on, including a cross-country course on top of the landfill right now with the approval of the state. So I would like to suggest that we look at a 10-cent increase.
I would agree to that.
Okay, we'll bring it next week.
Yeah, I'll actually bring a resolution that will we'll tie that in and set that rate based upon that 10 cent. So you'll see it come down. It'll take into account both the McPherson Area Solid Waste increase and the 10 cent increase.
Okay.
All right. COVID-19 EOC briefing.
You all have a copy of the EOC briefing, the incident action plan for October 19th to the 16th of October or November. And I'm just going to hit the highlights from this. And a lot of this is going to be a repeat of things that you guys are probably aware of in the briefing portion of it. But I do want to go ahead and cover it. Obviously, COVID-19 cases have seen a surge and are currently the highest levels that have existed in McPherson County throughout the pandemic. And you guys are aware of that. The McPherson County Health Department continues to observe any new cluster outbreaks that have been added to the total number of infected cases over this briefing period. As of this last Friday at 5 p.m., the total cases in McPherson County were 455, with 346 of those totals having met the recovery guidelines set forth by KDHE. At the time of our last briefing, which was September 21st, McPherson County had 252 cases, with 232 having met the recovery guidelines. So there's been quite an increase over that time frame. The positive case numbers are below. You can kind of see that for yourself, where they've come. We're at the percent positive. The number tested has been the highest, second highest that it's been outside of towards the beginning of the pandemic, and then the percent positive is the highest it's been at 13.9%, and that's between October 5th to the 18th. As we continue to see significant spikes in the number of cases, it's just a reminder, it's critical. We're going to remind the community we're not yet through this pandemic, and the continued spikes will show that the current COVID-19 pandemic is ongoing. McPherson, just an update from last time. I really don't I'll hit just some key points on here. Obviously, the City Commission revisited the need for a mask ordinance that might need to be implemented based upon virus cases on September 28th. Back on September 28th, the virus cases continued to remain lower, and the Commission opted not to reinstate the mask ordinance. Obviously, since September 28th, the City Commission has continued to observe case numbers and chose not to reinstate an ordinance until October 19th, 2020. The City Commission officially approved the Kick COVID campaign to encourage voluntary compliance with COVID-19 safety precautions. Over the past several months, the City Commission has sought the advice of local, state, and medical experts to weigh in on safety precautions that the City of McPherson should consider, and the guidance has been given by medical experts have pushed for mask requirements, and those have discouraged requirements. Beginning the end of week of October 4th, numbers from McPherson County began to surge, with numerous counties adjacent to McPherson County seeing record number of cases, and that led to, back on Monday, October 26th, the City Commission opting to reinstate a varied version of the mask requirement to coincide with the Kick COVID campaign. Since that October 23rd, 2020, McPherson County has remained at some of its highest levels, in the Harvard Global Health Institute reaching as high as 8.57 cases per 7-day moving average, and 30.03 cases per 100,000 people. Since October 23rd, City of McPherson has experienced some of our own first exposures of COVID-19 within our organization. Since that exposure, the City of McPherson has used Spark-funded disinfection machines to disinfect potential exposure areas throughout the organization. The equipment's been operated by the fire department during and after hour times at these locations as part of precautionary measures. We've been also following the exposures. We've used health department guidance in addressing potential exposures associated with affected staff. In addition to the public facilities, the fire department has been completed or plans to complete additional disinfection at locations, private locations impacted by positive cases as well. Many employers chose to open up or fully or partially following expiration of the mask mandates. With the recent spike in cases, a number of those businesses have been advised to reinstate safety virus and safety precautions as it relates to that to keep the recent surging numbers down. Mayor Brown last week reached out to Walmart, Dillon's, MIDC, McPherson Chamber, Churches United Ministry.
That should be Ministerial Alliance.
Ministerial Alliance, sorry. United Way, the McPherson County Foundation, to provide some specific information and posting information as it relates to that Get COVID campaign and any mask ordinance associated with that. We did have 418 start joining our EOC meetings. We had the superintendent involved with that, and I will kind of start providing a little bit of an update on what's happening with the school. They have a gating levels and colors that they use to make decisions on how they're going to do school for the week or for the upcoming period. And just to report, while data has fluctuated over the past week, their actual gating levels and colors have remained the same. So they decided to keep in the current format that they had. Obviously, current data has showed that there's been actually a low number of positive cases across the 418 as far as students and staff. There have been 0 students and staff as of 10/27 reported to them. The county numbers obviously increasing as I've already pointed out here. Hospital referral challenges, local and regional hospitals continue to face challenges with referring patients to larger hospitals. I think the mayor talked a little bit about that last week, but obviously as numbers are surging around the area, that is a continued challenge. They do have the remote learning still as an option for families that choose to do so, and as conditions change, they understand that parents and guardians' feelings will change as well, and that will continue to be an option available to parents and families that want to go to a complete remote learning situation. And then on another positive note, I won't read this whole one, but the community effort to kick COVID has been pushed heavily by the school district as well. They see the value that comes with that, and they're going to continue to implement all of the measures and keep the measures in place to make sure that they are doing their best to help kick COVID as well. As another note, and as I mentioned, we've had our first positive cases within the organization. In the event that number of positive cases or quarantines occur within employee groups of the city organization go beyond a current capacity, or a surge causes significant portions of the organization to be inundated, the city does have plans to deal with those on a case-by-case basis. So we may be, we'd ask that, and when I get back to it, we'll ask that you kind of provide us some flexibility in the event that we do have a number of cases that cause us to have to change how we do business, whether it's split staffs or whether it's split some of our staffs in some locations, or if it's to do some remote work from home as well. So
Yeah.
those are all things that
I'd like to be able to talk about this in the retreat, and also if people work from home, even if they've tested positive, how is compensation versus the 80 hours that is put out to be available by the federal government, endorsed by the state? How do we do this if somebody becomes positive in the line of their work? But we should discuss that before it happens.
I agree.
So just, we can have it on the agenda.
Just as an update, we do have, as part of our EOC, we do have a representative that kind of represents the not-for-profit, the housing-related issues and any social service-related topics. We did get an update. They continue to, the United Way of McPherson County continues to take applications for assistance for their rent, mortgage, and utilities. They can go to and get those applications on the United Way website. Safe Hope is, the shelter is half full at this current time, and all services are open and available to meet the needs of the community. The Housing Coalition, all displaced families from the trailer park have now secured housing, and they are moving forward with that particular, I know that that project has proceeded, and that there's a new owner for that property. But they are continuing to help out those families that were displaced. Child Care Aware of Kansas, comfort kits are still available, and you can get those by contacting their office. The Y Kids, child care for school-age children, they have 8 openings currently, and if they're hoping to secure some funds to assist with 6th graders with homework that they're also doing. STEP MC has provided services remotely to clients. The next Get Ahead class will be October 22nd and the 26th, and the Bridges Out of Poverty training will be offered online on November 2nd, 9th, and 16th. You can register through STEP MC on their website. They have direct ability to do that. CASA is a Voice for Children Incorporated. They're still in need of volunteers to serve as child advocates. The next training will be placed at the end of October. Heart to Heart is experiencing an increase in referrals, as we've mentioned in the past. Just an update on public messaging and some of the information we've done over the last month. Obviously, the COVID campaign was a huge part of that community information piece. Over the last month, the city developed posters and specific messaging to get the word out about the importance of all COVID-related voluntary safety precautions. We're continuing to push that out as we can. We've constantly been pushing out the importance of masks, proper usage of masks, how to clean, proper disposal, as well as a number of other mask safety information pieces that we continue to make a priority. The city's also placed information on the recent reinstatement ordinance on the city website, hub site, social media, and we've also put that out to a number of other organizations for their information systems as well. And then the other piece that was out there, the city of McPherson, with cooperation of community partners, has been putting out information on the Kansas Eviction Prevention Program. That is available till the end of November for landlords or tenants that want to take advantage of that grant. And we would encourage anybody out there that thinks that they might be able to take advantage of that to reach out and talk to Kansas Housing Resource Corporation. As you're aware, we applied for a number of Spark funds for a total of $172,338 in reimbursement and $513,007.40 in direct aid. We're well into that. We've ordered most of the things as it relates to that particular Spark funds, and the total cost that's been incurred by the city of McPherson, including all expenses received and paid to date, is $266,541.17. We've also been paid $450,000 of the total amount that was awarded to the city, which was $513,000. So we've been paid the $450,000, and what the county has agreed to do is they will release any additional funds upon request as receipt for expenses continue to be paid up to the $513,000. We've kind of told them wait until we see where we're at as far as an expense standpoint, but they are willing to write a check once we get above and beyond that number. When we initially applied for Spark funds, we had to cover what we thought our expenses would be through the remainder of the year, and we may or may not hit some of those numbers. So obviously, we don't want to have to turn around and write a check back to the county. So we want to make sure we're drawing those funds down carefully as we go forward. The city did receive 17 applications for the CDBG coronavirus grant, and I'm glad to report that 13 grants have tentatively been awarded. We're still waiting back to hear on the final two final approvals from the state of Kansas to get those funds actually paid out, but we've now awarded all the funds with the exception of final administrative costs. That will happen at closeout for that. So that is my update for this week. I will say that the supplies, if you kind of look through here of the supplies that continue to be an issue, are wipes, the PDI Santa Cloth wipes. Those continue to be in short availability. And then I will also mention that because we've been doing some of the disinfection with those machines, we have made an order, and we think that we're about a month out, but that hopefully we should be covered, assuming we don't have a huge influx of additional disinfection. That will get us to the time that those supplies will be delivered, and those are for the machines that we did use Spark funds to purchase.
And I'd just like to add in there that if we do a private organization, we do not charge for the labor to do it, but we ask to be paid for reimbursing the chemical used in the
Right.
decontamination.
Right.
Any questions on that before I move on to the objectives? The objectives from November 2nd to November 16th. I did highlight, if you look at page 17, you can see that. I'm going to go over the highlighted new objectives. Obviously, focusing on getting information out on the value of COVID PPE and other health precautions, including but not limited to those identified in the Kick COVID informational campaign, will continue to be a priority. We'll continue to support adjustments in work from home requirements for affected employees of the city of McPherson when relevant, and we'll continue to support efforts to assist in any additional affected disinfecting of any additional public amenities and also any private affected businesses or clusters in the McPherson community. General situational awareness as of 7:30, November 2nd. Just as a point of, we put this together on Friday. We're still at that 455 positive cases reported, and personnel should make sure they ensure that they maintain the proper hygiene and social distancing practices. 346 of the cases met by KDHE for recovery, which means there are currently 109 active cases as of this morning. And that's all I've got as it relates to this. I don't know if there's anything on those objectives. Obviously, you pointed out that we want to talk about city operations at the retreat. Anything else that necessarily needs to be done? I don't think there's any action items required as it relates to that.
I'd just like to put up the 60-day thing if
Yep.
Bo can do that. And the blue line is us compared to other counties our size, and you can see over the last 60 days we've done well. But the problem is that 6 of the last 7 days we've been in the red, and that red total is as high as we've been. So we really need the public to become familiar with Kick COVID campaign. And if you cannot maintain social distancing, that a mask is required. But if you can maintain social distancing, then that's another thing. One disturbing thing that's not on here but is on the Health Department is the number of cases we're getting for 60 and over. And I've been told by the Health Department that these are not coming from elder care facilities as much as just people over 60 living in their homes. Really need the people over 60, which are going to have other issues probably, which makes them high risk for contracting COVID, to be careful, follow the guidelines, and families that are dealing with people 60 and over need to help them be as careful as possible. We've had about 27%, I think, and I know it's over 25, of all our cases are people 60 and over. So, and the surge lately has been a lot of those people. So, as you heard from USD 418 part, they are staying pretty low, so all the masks and sanitation, washing hands, all the stuff they're doing is paying off for them. We need to be sure that we're doing what we want. It's extremely important that we do our part as a community so that the school can keep on the program that they're on, and also that local business can stay operational. And just because we have a Kick COVID campaign, we still need you to shop local. These small business people depend on other community members. And if you're uncomfortable going to the business, call them, arrange a pickup of what you need or a time when you can go if you don't want to wear a mask and you can do social distancing. But, you know, as I've said before, we're trying to balance a lot of things. We're trying to balance physical health. We're trying to balance behavioral health, trying to balance the economic health of the business community, particularly small business people. And we need you to reach out and help them stay in business to get through this difficult time. And even if you've been used to eating out, I know that that is an increased exposure, but the fact is that you still can do it. They're only going to get about half the capacity, if that. And so any of you that would do curbside pickup and give them the business need at home, we need you to do that to keep the service community going in terms of restaurants. If you eat fast food, you've had longer lines. And I don't know, if I was going to have a fast food business, I don't think I would build it for in-house dining, as the lines are long. So anyway, do what you can to support this. I'm not going to put the Harvard deal up. You already gave the number. And we're a day behind. I don't know. They must have went trick-or-treating and didn't update the number late at night. So, well, they'll catch up and it'll all of a sudden happen. But pretty much it's not going to change that much. But we are in a red zone 6 of the last 7 days, and I would expect to be there again. So thank Mike Wagner for updating the 60-day thing for our meeting every Monday.
I'd just like to say that I've received, since we put the mask order back in place, the mask ordinance back in place, that I've probably received 6 or 7, maybe 8 calls of different businesses that the people were not wearing masks, and the help that was, the customers were not wearing masks. And I just remind everybody that it is a city ordinance, that a mask is required, so please abide by that ordinance.
Okay. Probably if the police have to enforce the ordinance, they will escort people out to their car and give them the ticket for the $10 fine. We hope we don't have to do that very often. Anything else for the study session? Okay, I'll declare the study session over.